Hello, this is Josh Hunter. I'm presently in the city of Santa Monica, California. Uh, so I wanted to bring something up. Um, so as you know, I'm trying to find out, like, is Christianity a real thing? Like, is it a true belief system? Like, is it based on something real, or is it something that people just really want to be true, or is it some type of a business? So, I was thinking, what in the book or in the Bible, uh, Jesus said, like, it is very difficult for a rich man to get into heaven. Something like it's easier for a camel to go through a needle or the eye of a needle or something. So I was thinking about this because you have these systems where televangelists, where they say, "Hey, give us all your money because you love Jesus," and intellectuals and various types say, "Oh, these guys are wrong. See, they're scamming you." But see, they haven't taken the time to really understand Christianity. They just see a scam, and they don't really understand it. See, the televangelists, and the people who are their parishioners and who are their followers or whatever, they understand their system. See, the rich man doesn't want to go to the heaven that Jesus is talking about. To the rich man, that ain't heaven. And Jesus also said you have to give up everything and hate your whole family if you want to be my disciple. So the system is that you give all your money to the rich guy because he wants to say that I don't want to go to the heaven that Jesus is talking about. I'll let you know everything that you need to know, but I don't want to go there. So just give your money to me. And the people who give the money say, we definitely want to go to the heaven that Jesus is talking about. Here, have our money. He said we have to give up all of our things. Yes, we'll give up all of our things and we'll give it to you. Both parties get what they want in that system. Okay, when you tithe, when you do all that, you're saying, I want to give my life to Jesus. I want to give all of these things, my family, my friendships, my good relationships. See, the thing is, but you don't really understand who you're you don't understand who you're giving it to and where you're going. You don't understand the heaven. The rich man understands this. So in some ways, it is still a scam because the rich man knows he doesn't want to go there. I mean, why would he need a jet? I mean, that is a common thing. These televangelists, they get lots of money and they buy a jet because they're trying to say, and that's almost their message in a way. They're saying we don't want to go to the heaven that Jesus is talking about because, they understand the Bible. They read it and they know what it is. And I think they're trying to show you. I think anyway. So I wanted to bring that up for people to just try and think about the next time you're either going to criticize the people who give the money or the people, the rich guys who profit off of the followers of Christianity. Realize that this is a closed system. And when you're having opinions about these people, you don't really understand what's going on. Some people want to go to heaven, or they want to go to the heaven that Jesus has promised, and some people don't. And the way that they express that is either by making tons of money and being very rich overtly, or by giving all of their things away. Secondly, as you know, or maybe you do or do not know, I used to study this thing called the I Am activity. Started in 1932 by Guy Ballard and Edna Ballard. And I studied this for a very long time. And in the end, I don't know, it wasn't really for me. Like the logic, I mean, the logic was inconsistent. And there are a lot of things that they said, which it has power. And there are certain things, like if you use it, you're going to get some results. But I wasn't getting the results that I wanted, and the logic was inconsistent. And I think it was a similar thing. They're describing a heaven, and they're saying you do all these things and you get to come to this heaven. So you can look that up if you want. Like, I mean, I don't know who should be reading those books, but whatever. But what I wanted to say for those of you if you have somehow come to this channel and you are watching this and you are a follower of Saint Germain, the Saint Germain Foundation, the I Am activity, in any of its forms or whatever, even the was it? There was a spin-off, right? I forget the name, is like Lighthouse or something. I forget what they were called, but they did their own version of the I am activity. And these guys, in their picture of the presence, in their picture of the I am presence, they depicted the higher mental body. So those people as well. Elizabeth Clare Prophet, that's right. So if you're following those people as well, I would just like to mention this one thing. In the original books, if you recall David Lloyd, okay, he traveled for 50 years. Like, a guy told him one thing. He said, on a mountain in North America, you will find the man who will gain you the ascension. And he said, okay. And he got all this money, and he spent 50 years looking for this thing. Instead of thinking, who is this man, and should I listen to what he's saying? Instead of using his brain and thinking and say, should I follow what this guy says? He just obeyed blindly. And for 50 years, he went looking for this mountain. And he didn't really know why. I mean, he had a feeling, but was he thinking? Was he using mathematics? Even in the books, it says, you know, the principles that we're talking about are as accurate as mathematics, as your multiplication table, which implies that perhaps you should be using your brain. So, I don't know if you, because I read all the main 20 books, and so at one point, I don't remember which book, it may have been the one with David Lloyd, I think it's book 10, and he, you know, somebody asked something, or I don't know, they ask a question, and he's like, oh, you know, I don't know, you'll have to ask your presence. And when I read this excerpt, like, he seemed kind of irritated. There was something about what he was saying, like, there was like a slight irritation, like, I don't know, ask your presence. Which indicated to me, like, hey, you know, because he was like the newest, at that point, he was the newest, you know, he had just gained his ascension, so he's like the newest guy or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, there's something that doesn't add up here. So, at some point later on, he says, okay, because throughout all this time, they're saying that there are people, beings who have lived on the earth, and they live for a long time, and they're called masters. And then when you do all this stuff, then you are offered the ascension. And that's the thing. The ascension, the heaven that they're talking about is an offer, which you can reject. So, at some point he says, okay, as he's giving the dictation, he says, there are these two masters who have lived on the earth for like 1,000 years, 2,000 years. And these guys, although they've been offered the ascension many times, they rejected the ascension. They said, we don't want it. And, you know, in this discourse, you know, what he says is they rejected it, but you don't have, as he's speaking to the audience or whoever's reading the book, he says, they rejected it, but you don't have to worry about that because that's not really your activity. And I thought about this. That doesn't make sense. I mean, these guys are like the master. They're masters, right? Why are they rejecting the ascension? You're telling all of us that this is what we want. You're telling us that this is what we want. We want the ascension. We all have to gain the ascension. So why are these guys who've been around for 2,000 years living, why are they rejecting it? You know, I mean, these guys would know more about the ascension than us. So when I first read that, I thought, oh, well, maybe it's just they're doing like special work. But then they also say in the books, like, oh, the amount of service that you can give is much greater once you gain the ascension. Like, once you actually get up into the ascended state, you can do so much more work. So if they're staying, it ain't because of service, because you can do much better and greater service. According to this logic, you can do much better and greater service in the ascended state than you can in the unascended state. So why have they been rejecting it? Like this was a clue to me, a hint, and as I thought about it more and more, there are these hints all over the book. Like there's just inconsistencies. They say, okay, according to the rules that we're telling you, okay, there is no such thing as mistakes. Like you cannot make a mistake because everything is made up of God, and God never makes a mistake. Yet, if you are not obedient, that is considered, if you're not obedient to God, if you're not obedient to the I Am Presence, then you're making a mistake. If there's no such thing as a mistake, then how can you ever be disobedient to the I Am Presence? And these things are littered all over the book, like it's inconsistent, and it demands questioning. Why did David Lloyd go 50 years without even thinking about whether or not he should trust this guy? Who told him on a mountain in North America, you're going to find someone who can help you to your ascension. So obviously these are great examples of why you should be a thinking person and why you should pay very close attention to the choices that you're making. But generally, if you just follow what's in the book blindly, then I don't know if that's the best idea. But all right, so I just wanted to bring these two examples up, of what's in the Bible and what's in this thing that I studied, so that you have a good idea. Sometimes, like, there are things that are going on which it's not for you. If you're going to criticize Christianity, then like you got to understand, like that just may be like a business, a way of doing business. And with this I Am studies stuff, I don't really criticize it. I'm just not really. The inconsistency, the logical inconsistency, is not something that I'm really about. So, like I said, when I say that I'm attempting to dismantle Christianity, that doesn't mean that I hate Christianity. I just need to know if it's real. And if it isn't real, I need my shields against unreal things. And that goes for the I Am activity as well. Although I don't know if it's necessarily not real. I mean, if it isn't real, then I need a shield against that too. Because I've had enough unreal things. I need less unreal things and more Unreal Tournament. All right. I'm 34 years old, and I've got the best grades